they were producing it and it was going bad. The first type of beer they produced, it didn't store very well. And so certain times of the year they would have plenty of beer, and other times of the year they wouldn't have any beer at all. So they developed this process, which is, lager comes from German meaning to store. And what it does, let me get mine. And what lager does is that it ferments, and this is a barrel, I know I'm a terrible artist. The fermenting goes on and the interaction goes at the bottom of the barrel. And what they would do is they would put all the ingredients together in these barrels, and they had these caves up in the hills that were very cool. And they would store these barrels in the caves and allow them to ferment throughout the year. And so they had their beer all year long. But the bottom fermenting is very slow. It's a slow process. Just like red wine, right? Remember we talked about it takes years for red wine? Well, it takes months for bottom fermenting beer to actually what we would call mature. You could drink it. It's just not at its best. Okay, and again, the hops were there and the coolness to preserve the beer so that it didn't go bad. Okay? And this is what we know as lager. And lager now is about 90% of the beer you drink. And you know, you can Miller, Busch, or Bud, or you know, Moosehead, or I've got the whole list here. It's clear, light-bodied, and most important, it's bottom fermenting. Bottom fermenting extends the maturity process. Okay? Yeah, we talked about that. So here's some common type of lagers. Budweiser, Carling, Coors, Dutch Harp, Heineken, Kronenbourg, Landshark, etc., etc. These are, most of you are going to drink lager. Unless your taste has become a little bit more sophisticated, you'll drink lager. It's the gateway beer. It's the beginning beer. All right? Now, who are my folks here? Who are my beer drinkers? Okay. Do you still drink lager?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that primary? Do you drink anything else other than lager?
I like IPAs a lot.
Okay. So you've advanced a little bit there. Okay. The first beer is actually what we call ale. Ale is not very sophisticated. Okay? It's fuller bodied and it's more bitter. But most important, it's top fermenting, which means it's up top. It develops very quickly. Okay, it matures very quickly. Because it does that, it's a very strong taste. A lot of you will drink ale and say, woo! Especially if you're used to lager, you'll say that's just too strong for me. And you know, you take the beer taste of a lager and multiply it by about 10, and that's what you got in ale. And because it has such a strong taste, a lot of times they'll put some herbs and spices in there in order to make it more palatable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay? But this is typically, have you done ale? Yeah, IPA, which is not quite the full body, but typically what happens is if you drink a lot of lager, it all starts to taste the same. And so you say, I need something stronger. I want something that has a unique taste to it, and then you kind of go to the dark side, which is ale. You're not completely on the dark side yet. Okay? But again, I would encourage all of you to, once you're of age, of course, I have to say, once you're of age, of course, to go out and try ale and just see, okay, well, yeah, I like it. Even if you don't like it now, at some point, maybe later on in your life, your taste buds, as I mentioned before, they get weaker with age, so you crave things that are stronger. A lot of people move to ale. So you say, well, if you go to ale, are you completely on the dark side? No. You know what's coming, don't you? Stout. Who here drinks stout?
Every now and then, I guess.
Yeah, how are you on it?
It's more of a dessert kind of thing for me. Okay, have to be in the mood for it.
I drank about that much stout in my life, and that was enough for me. It is uber strong. It is, if you think that ale is strong, multiply that by about 100 and you've got stout. And that's, you truly are on the dark side. It's a dark ale. Now people say it's sweet, and it is sweet, but it's also very bitter. It's the extremes on both. And again, what I think what people like about stout is that it's very strong on both ends, both sweet and bitter, strong in malt flavor. It's almost like eating a handful of like wheat. Okay. Dark ales are brewed using dark roasted barley malts. Now how they get it dark roasted is they burn the malt. They literally scorch it. And that's why when you drink it too, there's that burned flavor. And I hate coffee. It tastes to me like burned coffee with like 40 packs of sugar put in it. Anybody else a big stout drinker? Are you really? Yeah. Take you a while to get used to it? Yeah. But again, I'm one of those guys, try everything. Have someone buy a stout and say, can I taste that? Take a taste. If you like it, then start drinking it. Most of you are going to go, okay, I've tried it. Thanks a lot. Okay? All right. So that kind of takes care of beer. Again, if you want to learn more about beer, we have a beer class. Okay? Scott Taylor is one of our PhD students. He's our beer guy. And he knows everything about beer. And he loves to talk beer. Okay? All right. So just like wine, beer in the 80s, sales were declining rapidly. And they did a study, and here's what they found. Unfortunately, the people that run the beer industries, they used to be the Bush family or the Coors family, and they were artisans. And they crafted their beer and really put pride into it. And then these folks called accountants came along and said, you can make more money if you cut back on these ingredients, or if you do this and you do that. In beer in the 80s, and my dad was a big beer drinker, he said, it just all tastes the same. If you got Bush, you got Bud, you got Miller, you got Coors, it all started to taste the same because what they were turning out a mass-produced product. Okay, and if I could use an analogy, I would use, Domino's pizza. It's pizza, but is it the same as kind of the mom and pop, artisan pizza where they do it by hand and everything and buy the best ingredients? And the answer is no. Domino's really kind of tastes like Papa John's, which really tastes like, Pizza Hut. They really don't put the best ingredients in there, and it's all about, well, if we cut back here and there. And so what was happening is that beer drinkers were just saying, I'm just not into beer anymore. So anytime anything bad happens, there's always an opportunity. And these things started to pop up called microbreweries. And it has saved the beer industry. What's a microbrewery? It's typically a local brewery, locally made and distributed. And the people that do it consider themselves to be artists. They don't consider themselves to be, maximizing profit. And they put their heart and soul into this, and they really want to produce a beer that makes a difference. Some of the early ones were Rock Bottom, Carl Strauss, Sierra Nevada, and Samuel Adams you'll recognize. Samuel Adams used to be a microbrewery. What's happened to it since then? They were bought by the big guys, and again, it's mass-produced now, and it probably tastes a lot like Busch and Bud and whatever. But it started out as a microbrewery. Who here comes from an area where there are microbreweries and everybody drinks it? Where do you come from and what's...
I'm from North Jersey.
Okay.
I get a lot, there's a lot in Brooklyn. I visit my brother a lot. And
Okay.
There's a bunch in his area.
Okay. Is there one particular microbrewery that everyone drinks?
Not really. I mean, there's a lot of people drink Sierra Nevada.
Sierra Nevada, okay, that's still a craft beer, yeah.
Genesee Brewery,
Okay, where's that at?
Rochester, New York.
Okay, and is it kind of like the local beer, everyone, you go to the local tavern and they've got it? Okay, good, where?
Old Mecklenburg in
Oh.
Charlotte.
Okay. I have heard of Old Mecklenburg, I've taught this class a couple times. That seems to be the local beer there where the locals take pride in it.
It's
Yeah.
gotten big. It's like every bar in in Charlotte, around Charlotte. It's gotten bigger now.
Cool, what else? Yes?
There's a whole bunch in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, I bet,
Lots of
yes.
small ones.
What's your favorite?
The place is called BBC. They make different ones all the time.
Okay.
Great Lakes Brewing Company.
Where's that out of?
Well, Cleveland, Ohio is where I'm from, so we're around a lot, but I'm sure it's like full.
Okay. Anybody from Pittsburgh or the Pittsburgh area? Okay, what does everyone drink in Pittsburgh?
England or
No. I see.
Oh.
Iron City.
Yeah.
I see. When we had my wedding, all my Pittsburgh relatives said, "Are you going to serve IC at the wedding?" We said, "We don't know." Well, they said, "If you do, we're coming. If you don't, we're not coming." I mean, if you're from Pittsburgh, all you have to do is say it stands for Iron City, but everyone calls it IC and IC Light. And that was honestly first time I'd heard about microbreweries. If you're from Pittsburgh, man, that's like like mother's milk. That's what everyone's raised on. And so the good news is that microbreweries